Hey, how are you?
Hi James, how are you? I'm all right.
I'm good, thanks. I'm good, thanks. How's are you in the Netherlands?
I am, yes. It's
How's life? Are you surviving?
honestly, I'm very fortunate. I'm in good health. I still have my job despite everything that's going on, so I'm very happy about that. Um, and it looks like things are getting back to normal, but they're worried now about perhaps a second wave because people are being a little bit too loose with all the rules. So I'm guessing it's the same over there, right?
It is the same. Uh, I sort of agree that people are being a bit loose with the rules. I think just because you can do something doesn't mean you
Mm,
should.
right, right.
But then I'm also quite aware that I've still got my job, if there is one. Um, I've got a garden. I'm at home. I don't have kids. For people who are maybe trapped on the fourth floor with kids screaming at them and they're
Mm,
scared about their job and paying their rent and all these things, then maybe going for a pint at the pub doesn't feel like such a huge risk.
right.
Maybe they're like, I need to find something or I'm going to murder somebody.
And
Um,
and especially, I mean, I don't know where you live, but I've moved just out of Amsterdam, and I used a couple of months ago. I still lived in Amsterdam, but I couldn't imagine being there now, as packed as it is, and just being on top of each other like that. So we have some space over here, which, like you say, yeah, then your mind stays sane a little bit better, I think.
Well, that's it. I remember early on in lockdown seeing pictures and hearing stories from Paris,
Mm,
and I had some friends over there, and speaking in interviews as well. Being really on top of each other in a city, it it heightens your anxiety.
of course, yes.
You need that space to think and to breathe, and um. So with it's always with a pinch of salt when I'm
Mm,
kind of admonishing people for doing things that I don't agree with because it's hard. I'm trying to be tolerant, Robin. I'm trying to be tolerant um, because I know that it's not a level playing field. That's the one thing that is. I think we were all aware of it before, but more than ever, it is in our face. The world is so unequal, and this sort of terrible situation is really highlighted that more than ever.
And yeah, like you say, one thing that stood out to me was I think they said about California, and I can't remember the exact stats, but it was like 50% of the people or something, they can't handle a new expense of 300 euros or whatever. They can't deal with that if there's nothing coming in. So that, yeah, like you say, that kind of shows you we're not on equal footing, and some people need to go out there to survive. So it's a strange time. But for
It's
you,
a
that
difficult one. Sorry to interrupt you.
no, go ahead, go
Um,
ahead.
I, I know that at the beginning of lockdown, the discussions I was having with friends and interviews was talking about looking forward to returning to normal.
Hmm.
That's gone. That idea is gone. I don't want to return to what was normal. You know, um, and it's taking a bit of effort because I've got a dream life. I feel so
Hmm.
lucky. We're playing in the band, we're traveling, we're doing all these things that we dreamed of. We're about to release our eight. I don't want to get too down here because I want to talk
No,
about the
we'll
record,
talk
but
about the album when
we'll
and
talk about it. But um, things can't go back to normal for so many people, and that's before we even ever were to have a discussion about the Black Lives Matter movement, which I think is
right,
so
right.
important. Like even if you were able to put that to one side, the world has got so many issues, and I think that's right up there with the environment and with
Right.
inequality. Black Lives Matter is like an extension of the inequality we have in the world. So a kind of period of um, education is needed for us all.
Hmm.
Um, I'm trying to do that by fuck you're going to laugh at this, Robin. I've been listening to radio stations that I would consider to have an alternative point of view to mine. So I would say the right-wing radio stations here in the UK, and I couldn't fucking believe the attitude of the listeners, but mostly the radio hosts, these guys that were always kind of men, really. The attitude of these guys, the intolerance, kind of made me sick. So the educating myself made me angry.
I can imagine. It's well, like you said, I don't want to get into this too much, but it just seems like a lot of people are shouting at each other, not listening, and that they're not recognizing that we're all the same. We're all going through this experience of life, and for some, it's just true that historically they've been set back. So we have to look at it objectively and not feel personally attacked when some of these issues are raised. So it's a weird situation. But let's talk about.
Listen, I don't have another interview right after this, so I'm not.
Okay.
Just to say.
No, fair enough. But let's talk about some more positive things, because I can fall down those rabbit holes as well. If you read and listen to those depressing things, it won't help your mood anyway. So, but there's one thing I saw you do, which is and the entire band doing is playing your instruments live and playing along with certain songs and kind of showing how they work. So for you, being as much at home as you are now, which is very unusual for you, are you discovering new things about playing bass, and then are you rediscovering kind of that passion you had for it?
Yeah, I've got different basses here. I've got this little jazz bass. It's got really are you a player? I can see a guitar.
I have a guitar. The extent is I have a guitar and I have a piano. I'm not going to say I'm a player, but I tinker when I can.
I'm not about to start playing. It's okay. But usually because we play in a kind of drop tuning, we've got really heavy strings. They're like fucking tree trunks.
Right.
This has got small gauge 105 strings, and I've been playing with my thumb. I've never ever done it. So I've just been. I suppose it's a lot of old soul players would play like that. Maybe a lot of old Motown players and that sort of thing. I've got no real desire to play Motown music, but just as you said, that there have been just quietly noodling around the house, not thinking about Biffy Clyro, not thinking about the next album, just playing the bass as a hobby. That is something that has come back, which sadly was sort of otherwise difficult to find those moments. I think when I was playing my bass before, it was usually rehearsing for something or learning a part or preparing for an album or with a bit of an end sight and goal. It's been nice just playing literally, no one's ever going to hear what I'm doing here. I'm never going to play Motown to anybody, but so that's been nice, that playing aspect. We've done the playing along videos just to encourage people a little bit, to give them a little bit of company. It's really an excuse to get in people's houses. No, a little bit of company to encourage people to show. I'm not a real technical player. Ben's quite a technical drummer. His parts are pretty tough. My bass lines tend to be pretty simple. And it's to show, hopefully, younger people, but people of any age, to encourage them to pick it up. And if they like this band, that's a good place to start. That's what I did when I was younger. I learned the parts from my favourite bands. I tried to learn Nirvana bass lines, and it's really about that. Just trying to encourage people and give people a bit of a distraction. I think people wanted a bit of distraction in their life, get away from the misery for a moment.
And for yourself, then, is it a distraction for yourself as well? Because usually at around this time, you will be either traveling or touring or living a very hectic life. And now it's very calm. You're at home, I suppose, a lot. So what is it doing to your own mindset?
That distraction is really important. Anything that can take you away. it's almost like everything you say these days, I feel like has to come with a caveat, which is always that I understand that people are in a much worse situation than me. So if I'm about to complain about things, it's like with a pinch of salt. But we definitely had a few months of feeling down because the album wasn't coming out when we thought, and you're sitting about and you're thinking about it all the time. And I think having that distraction is really important. Having these kind of chats is great. It gives you a bit of perspective. It feels like I've gone to Holland. It feels like I've gone to Amsterdam for the afternoon. You know, there's something about it. I think a distraction is quite important. I think we're still going to be, you know, as you said, we're looking at a second wave here. I think it's going to be a while before we can get out and about like we used to. So it's trying to. We've been like renovating our practice room, you know, a bit boring, but we're going to be spending a lot of fucking time there. So it's things like that, kind of preparing for the next coming months, I guess. And
I can assume it's also a weird situation with the record then, because usually a record is done months before it's released. So I'm going to assume that this record has been done for a while. So you're really inhabiting that record, and then it's supposed to come out, but you can't release it, you can't go on tour, you can't go. So do you have a different sense of that album now after that separation?
Great question. Very observant. Yes, the answer is yes. We were in sort of January, the album was done November, you know,
right.
Artwork, track listing, ready to go, more or less. And then January, February, we're sort of rehearsing as the band. We're getting our calendar together. We were like a tightly coiled spring. We were like an army ready to go. And then pause. And then any time at that point you were listening to the album, at that moment just made me feel sad that the situation we were in. And I did become a little bit detached from the record for a little moment there. Now we're having discussions again about it. We're starting to get excited about people hearing the music. I feel like I'm engaged with the record in a slightly different way, but that's understandable. You know, that's the circumstances of the world we're living in and the way things have gone. I'm probably more proud of the record in a way. You know, it's strange, but there is always that little feeling of, is this always going to be? It probably will. It'll always remind us of this time. I mean,
sure.
It's strange how the lyrics, the themes, the ideas of the songs are so intertwined with this time. But it was in the can in November. It was done. It's a mindfuck how life imitates art and vice versa, and how things work around. You know, and I don't think Simon's some sort of clairvoyant, but so many of the things he was talking about in the record are something that the world is talking about now, you know.
And did you as a band, because I know Simon, well, let me ask it differently, because did you have as a band kind of discussions about where this album was going? Because this isn't necessarily like the political or looking at the world in a bigger sense. You haven't really done that much in the lyrics. So did you have a discussion like, or did Simon come up to you guys and go, well, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm thinking? Or do you just leave it be?
He's certainly not coming to ask for permission, you know, and as much as we're open and emotionally open to each other and we all want the same things from the band and it's a collective army, we're like men from the west coast of Scotland, so we're not immediately in a hurry to talk about our feelings that directly.
Fair enough.
But Simon's not a closed book. If we ask him about a lyric or we ask him what he's singing about, he'll tell us, you know. I think when we're in the practice room and we're doing demos and you hear the odd line, you start to build up this picture of what he's singing about, and then, you know, along the way there are little discussions, but there's no kind of like a sit down meeting where he's like, look guys, this is what I think I'm going to write about. But I'm really proud of the way that Simon is. The record's sort of split in a way where it's half about personal things and half really about society and societal problems. But I'm really proud of the way that he's grown as a man and grown as a songwriter, and looking out the window a little bit more at how our issues as people kind of mirror and kind of have a symbiosis with the issues that society is going through in a way. I was really proud as the lyrics kind of revealed themselves, and I'm like, fucking hell, that's amazing imagery. You know, I think the Champ, especially some of the imagery in that song and some of the lyrics, the way he's talking about the older generation holding the younger generation holding the older generation to account, and almost saying, look at the fucking mess you've left here of the world, and what kind of state society's in. So yeah, really proud to see that development in his lyric writing, which has always been such a huge part and such a strong part of the band, you know.
Right, and this might be difficult to pinpoint them, but how do the music and the lyrics kind of I don't know what the right word is, coalesce into kind of conveying this feeling or conveying this? How especially from a musician standpoint, how does the music kind of add to that sentiment?
I think there was a moment in Puzzle, our record, our fourth album, Puzzle, where the songs were really personal, really largely about the passing of Simon's mother. And with such heavy lyrics, such important lyrics, there were times where I felt the music should be simpler, allow more space for the lyrics to convey the important meaning of the song. I think with a song like The Champ, where there's drama in the lyrics, it's really dramatic imagery, it's really strong imagery. What's the line that I'm thinking about? Reality is washed up on the shore. Right. You know, I think that lyric is about a refugee washing up on the beach. You know, it's terrible. And I can't get my words out today. And I think that drama in the lyric is where you're trying to find drama in the music to support it and to kind of bolster that idea. That's where, to use your words, where those ideas coalesce and come together. I think that there is music that exists on its own, and there are lyrics that exist on its own. And then at some point, it becomes obvious that these should go together. I think that's the way Simon writes, is that he's always taking notes. You'll maybe hear a phrase from somewhere or have an idea. Meanwhile, there are musical ideas that are percolating and filtering and kind of developing the whole time. So that when the spark hits, I don't even think Simon would have the answer to that.
Right.
I don't even, you know, I think it is a little more natural than that. I don't think you would say it's just magic, baby. You know, I don't think you could say that. There's some work involved as well, but I think it's quite a natural thing. I think that's what makes it difficult to try and pick apart, you know. And
if you go back to those first sessions of rehearsal, when kind of the songs start to flesh themselves out, what was the feeling amongst the three of you? What was the sense of where you wanted to go with it?
I think we need to. It always seems to be a reaction in our band, you know, a reaction to the last record, a reaction to what we've just done. So we did Ellipsis, really proud of it. Thought it was a really great record. And then we did MTV. Then we did. Let me get this right. We did MTV Unplugged,
right? Which
is a dream come true. We grew up with that.
Nirvana. You know? It's still Nirvana, my favorite. Like,
unbelievable. I mean, the world's favorite Unplugged. But we're sitting down with our shirts on, you know, and it was a beautiful, beautiful experience. It really caught us off guard how rewarding it was. We were like, that was great fun and like a great tour.
In hindsight, in hindsight, why do you think that was? That you do it thoroughly, because I can assume that playing your songs acoustically, I don't know how much you do it in normal life, but that's also a different approach to what you've done to your own work. So
we've done it for sessions, radio sessions, but it's usually 2 or 3 songs, you know, and it's a different kind of thing. It's not people aren't paying money for it. Do you know what I mean? It feels slightly different. But suddenly to do 15 songs with a big stage set and the audience are sitting down mostly, we're sitting down, it's not the same impact. It's not the volume. It's not about the lights and the energy. It's not about an energetic performance or running around the stage and come on, let's go. It's simply about the songs, isn't it? You know, there's a bit of personality to the way you deliver it, you know, or whatever, how you sing the song, how you interact with the audience, but it becomes really just about listening to the song, and you're in that moment, and the joy is just hearing the song. There's still the same, the audience singing along, the interaction between the bands, but really I think it is just the way you suddenly are examining the songs, and it's that sort of thing that we'd never really done that for a gig, you know, over for like an hour and a half. So that was great, but we're like we've been fucking sitting down. Let's get after it. Let's get dirty. And we had the Balance Not Symmetry project, which was just the soundtrack to the film Balance Not Symmetry. And the interesting way of that coming about was that we did all the music before the movie was shot. Okay. So huge freedom. Nobody at the label was interested. Simon and Jamie Adams, the director, did have discussions about the themes of the movie, and you know, we were involved in the movie, but we were left quite to our own devices when it came to the music.
Because Simon contributed to the script, didn't he? Or the writing?
He did, yes, and I think some of the script and some of the dialogue and some of the lyrics, there was a little bit of a relationship there, and he and Jamie Adams definitely talked a lot about it. And you know, the theme of the movie is about loss and recovery and moving forward, and Jamie could see that was something that Simon had dealt with personally and written about. So, but so in the studio we're like, what can we do to make each other laugh? How can we get as crazy as possible? Let's get freaky deaky. Let's really go for it, and have that kind of reckless abandon that we can do whatever the fuck we want, you know. And that's the way music should be. And we kind of reminded ourselves that even though you end up in the fancy studio and it's like the new Biffy album and it's really important and there's people all around the world at labels, like it's still got to be just the 3 of us in a room trying to trigger each other and make each other laugh and have fun and take it seriously, but not too seriously at the same time. So that this is all leading up to us getting in, as you said, in the practice room, the first few rehearsals, trying to think about what we're going to do with this new record. The idea was, fucking let's go, you know, let's have, it wasn't like, you know, too much of that. It was like musically we wanted to have fun and challenge ourselves, and we knew we wanted to be heavy in places, that's for sure. It's so strange though now doing interviews, like it seems to be that one interview says, so this is a really heavy album, and then the next interview says, well, this is your most poppy album. So I don't really fucking know. I don't know.
As a music journalist, and I'm not going to say that I know all the different styles of music, but one thing I've learned over the last couple of years is that genre and all those all those signifiers, they don't matter. I've found that I've definitely found that you can have a ballad with a heavy guitar if you want to. I mean, they did so a lot in the 90s. So it's that's it. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Robin. Sorry.
No. It was a half complete thought. So go ahead.
We released some songs before the albums come out, so people heard Instant History. Let me just think what it was. can't think of this exact details of this story, but essentially someone's like, how are they going to put these two songs on an album? How are they going to fit? And we were like, we're going to fucking put them one after the other, mate. That's how they're going to fit. You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't have, I think if you just got a straight line and everything's linear and it's like, this is the rock album or this is the folk album, sure, that's I wouldn't say I've got nothing against that, but we're not going to do that. That's not this band, and we're not really worried about genre too much. You know, I think that's for marketeers and advertisers to worry about, and the people that are trying to sell the music and that sort of thing.
Right.
I think it's cool if you get a band that you can't really describe them too well. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, that's and especially like I say, I think these days a lot of those lines are being blurred anyway. So a lot of the stuff that the media and the record sellers put on top of it, it doesn't even really fit. So it's just a way, like you say, a way to know where in the story you have to go to find it. So
it's interesting that the one place in the world where that is potentially the biggest issue for us would be North America.
Okay.
And their need to have things pigeonholed a little bit. It's so strange because there are so many amazing, interesting bands to have come out of North America that you can't pigeonhole, and it makes you wonder how those guys had a career, because it seems to be that when we have a song like, well, that song could go on active rock, but it can't go on indie, or it can't go, I've forgotten the terms they use, you know, it's just quite strange, and I'm kind of like, cool as fuck. You know, that makes your job a little bit more difficult. Well, I think that's like more power to us as a band, to be honest.
Okay. Well, with the album title, then, A Celebration of Endings, when did that title pop up?
I feel that after we were finished recording, or we were maybe in the mixing stage, that sort of thing. The ending that we're celebrating is really twofold. The first part would be the ending of a couple of relationships that the band had that were personal and business relationships, long-term relationships that came to a sad ending, a difficult ending, an ending that made us fucking angry, and we felt a little bit betrayed, to be honest. That was difficult, and change is difficult. But once you get through the change, you start to feel a bit more positive. You know, you've got the shackles of that old relationship are gone. The issues that you had are gone. I guess Simon's also talking about, and this is where it gets interesting given the current situation, but the ending of the part, it feels like for the last 20, 30 years, society's just been going fucking downhill. Right. You know, we're losing compassion, we're losing tolerance, we're losing acceptance of each other. And I feel that that's coming to an end. You know, that's what you feel like, that's got to come to an end. The younger generation, I feel, are going to be the ones to bring it to an end. They're going to make changes. And I think we want to celebrate that. That's what we're trying to celebrate that as well. Like, the artwork. Have you seen the artwork, Robin?
I have, yes.
So forget who the character is. That's not really important. But the idea is that it's the way that history is lauded and cherished and supported these icons, these figures. You can see it now with the way that we're ripping down all these statues, but right. we've put all these people on a pedestal, I think, and we feel for the wrong reasons. And the symbolism of the artwork is that we're scoring a line right through it. We're kind of getting rid of the parts of history that we don't like. We're getting rid of the parts of society that we don't like. We're not throwing everything out, because there are some great parts of society. There are some great things we can do together. But when things are broken, when you have issues, you have to weed out the weeds, you know. And that's the idea of that. We're putting a line through history a little bit and scoring out the bad parts.
It's kind of that feeling of enough is enough. With then I have that in particular with the social justice protests. It's this has been going on. I mean, we can go look at news articles, and every 5 years there's a similar thing, and we can go back all the way through the 1800s if we want to.
Yeah.
So hopefully this is finally actually going to bring about some change. But
it's we're sitting here going, you and I are like trying our best to be supportive. I've never been on the receiving end of racism, really, you know. So I can do my best to try and imagine, but I'll never truly know. I just fear that they've been maybe saying this for 100 years, that this is the time that it's going to change. It does feel different. I agree, it does feel different. I know that hope isn't a strategy. But without hope, Robin, we are totally fucked. So I'm hopeful.
I think those are great ending words. So, James, thank you very much for taking the time.
My pleasure, man.
I hope everything goes well. And I think you're slated to play here on the 5th of November from the top of my mind here in Amsterdam. So hopefully everything goes well and you can. I hope everything works out. Maybe
I could just mention one thing, Robin.
Sure.
Because touring has been difficult, we've done a live performance of the new album from the Barrowland Ballroom in Glasgow, a really famous, beautiful, historic venue. And we got the string players in. We've got an amazing production where we play through the whole album live and take you on a little bit of a journey around the venue. And we're trying our best to make it really exciting. I know it's difficult that we can't all be together, and we're still trying to figure that out, as you know. So I just wanted to mention that it's going to be streaming on August 15th, the day after the album. If you want to find it, you'll be able to find it. I don't know exactly where people go right now. You'll find it through biffyclyro.com. But a really special, I think it's going to be a really magical night. Hopefully people can join us.
I hope so too.
But as for touring plans, it's the safest thing is to say, check the website. As soon as we're able to tour, we're going to be coming. You know that much.
All right, James. Again, thank you very much. Hope you have a great day. And good luck with everything that's going on with dealing with all of this.